Right, I think we're good to get started. There's a couple of people that will be joining a few minutes late, but I think everyone we're anticipating to join has joined.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Prit. I appreciate it, and welcome. Happy Monday to everyone. Just as a reminder, today's meeting is being recorded, and everyone should receive a link to the webinar recording along with the presentation slides after the meeting. But if you do have any questions, please go ahead and post them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them throughout the meeting. I'd also like to welcome our guest speaker, Phedra Redifer, who is the Executive Director of Workforce Solutions for North Central Texas. Today's presentation will focus on Workforce Accelerator Sessions created and led by Phedra and her team. These sessions initiated a strategy to quicken the pace of how organizations identified and addressed workforce and economic development opportunities. And again, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll be monitoring that and can get to them at the end of the presentation. Again, Jerry Watson, COG staff member, will be monitoring the chat for questions. So if you do have any, please feel free to share them. And the recording of the board meeting will be shared afterwards, and also will be used to take attendance. So we won't need to go through the roster to do attendance this morning. Kind of exciting this morning as we're welcoming 11 new board members. I don't know if that's the most since we initiated the board, but it certainly is a great number to have with a lot of new members joining us with a great diversity of areas of responsibility and experience. I'd like to just take a moment and introduce everyone. First is Gabby Castillo, who is the Business Development Coordinator for the City of Dallas. And I apologize if I mispronounce your name, please call me out and let me know so that I can get it correct for the second time around. Also like to introduce Gus Garcia, Economic Development Director for the City of Arlington. Phedra Redifer, Executive Director for Workforce Solutions for North Central Texas. Lisa Harrison, Administrator Coach, Education Service Center 11, College, Career, and Military Readiness, and Career and Technical Education. Dr. Rupa Iyer, Vice President of Research, Innovation, and Economic Development at Tarleton State University. Taylor Sheed, Executive Director, Stimuli Studios and D Magazine's 500 Top CEOs. Mary Sarver, Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Grandview. Nate Dyer, Director of Economic Development for the City of Mineral Wells. Chris Strayer, Executive Director, Parker County Economic Development Corporation. And Michael Talley, Senior Vice President, City of McKinney Economic Development Corporation. I'd like to just extend a welcome to all of you. We're very glad that you're here and looking forward to your contributions to the board as we move forward. Well, it's also a sad day because we have somebody who is a founding member of this board who has decided to accept a role somewhere other than Grand Prairie. He's moved into Arlington, and that's Marty Weeder, who has served as the chair of this board since its inception. He just is an incredible wealth of information regarding this area and economic development, and he's been incredible having him on the board and just learning from him on the things that he's been able to share. There's been a lot of things that have happened good as far as our community over the past 7 years that the board's been in existence, and Marty's helped drive a lot of that information. I'll let him maybe share a little bit about his new role. And then I'd also like to open it up to the board members who may want to share some information about Marty. It doesn't always have to be serious. Some of it can be funny. We just need to remember it's got to be PG, maybe PG-13 for the meeting this morning. So Marty, would you like to go ahead and share a little bit about your new role and what you're going to be doing to help economic development continue to grow in North Texas?
I'm honored, Fred, and you're funny. I would hope it would be or below, but it's been an honor serving with each of you, and congratulations to all you new members. You're going to love being a part of this. There's been so much contributed over many years by a number of you and others to get what we have with the EDD that is run so well by Fred and team at COG. So it's just been an honor for me. As background, though, for somebody who worked at COG like Fred does many years ago, and got to not only meet Bill Pitstick, who was my boss, who I disappointed greatly because I didn't go into city management and made it clear I wanted to be an economic developer. But to tribute to him and to Tom Vandergriff, the man who I consider to be the modern day father of economic development for North Texas, the two of them have really impressed upon me the need to get back. And so when I was first asked to come be a part of all this, that echoed in my ears of wanting to respect the two of them, and as well COG, because they had a great tuition reimbursement program. And when I was working on my master's at the University of Texas at Arlington, where Fred sits, they really helped all but one semester. So I owe a debt of gratitude to COG and to economic development in our region. So I just am grateful to have been a part of all this and to work with two different sets with many of you. Keep plowing on. I'm going to watch you from a distance. And you heard earlier, somebody, one of my counterparts here with Arlington, Gus Garcia, is going to take my place and Bruce Payne. So you're going to get a 2-for-1. And as you get to know Gus, you'll see the reason why he's a go-go winner. I am now the executive director of the Arlington Economic Development Corporation, still a toddler, a group, even though we've had an EDC since 2015. We didn't really have an election until almost 3 years ago. Had it 3 years ago, they put it in place, it's been in existence and funded for about 2 to 2.5 years. So we're trying to hire on some staff and move forward in the best way we can with the mission that our citizens approve, to bring about this type of wealth creation and new job creation and investment. So anyway, look forward to working with all of you. And it's been my highest honor to serve with you. So thank you for allowing me that
Okay.
Well, Fred, if
Oh,
I could say
go
a
ahead.
couple of things. Yeah. So unlike y'all, I get to work with Marty every day. So I'm excited about that. So Marty's right. You are getting a 2-for-1 because obviously Marty and I will be working together. And I'm sure that, although Marty is not, on a board seat, I'm sure he'll be joining us in the future, whenever we need him. And of course, I'm working with Marty on a regular basis. I'm super excited about it. Marty's not only a friend, but a mentor to me. So I'm excited that I'm able to work with him. So thank you, Marty, for sharing all that knowledge every day. We learned something new as we did this morning, but I just want to say it's been great. And thank you for, as a board member coming on board, and hopefully I can contribute to the panel. But Marty has been just amazing. We've been together for about 10 weeks now, 11 weeks, a few short weeks. And, Marty, thank you. I can tell you that it's been an honor working with you, and I'm learning every day from you. So I just want to point that out. So we're getting a 2-for-1 here. And if you ever need to get a hold of Marty and I'm on a meeting, I can certainly pass things along if he's not on, which hopefully he will be. And this won't be the last time we see him.
Thank you, Gus. And definitely appreciate you joining the group here also. Welcome.
If I could say just one word real quick, a couple of words. Marty, first of all, thank you for your service, and for something else that kind of goes a little bit unnoted. Well, it's noticed, but certainly untalked about, if that's a way to grammatically put it. And that is simply that from the very beginning, I've been on the board now a few years, but I still feel like the young guy on here, or the new guy, not the young guy, but the new guy on here. And from day one, Marty has always been the kind of guy that reached out and made everyone feel like equals, and made everyone feel like you are part of the team. And Marty, I appreciate that. That's leadership that goes a little bit under the radar. And I've learned an awful lot from you that had nothing to do with this board, but just from the way you conducted meetings and conducted the talks with everybody else. So I want to thank you. Also, your support of Prit and the way that you guys work together has been, again, a great leadership model for all of us in everything that we do. So thank you, Marty.
very kind.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate some of that as well. Marty, you've definitely been a shining example of how to do economic development. And I recognize that you not only were part of this board, but you've been a part of many boards for the region, and have always had a heart, not just for the community you worked in, but also for the entire Metroplex. So appreciate your extra time and energy that you put into those, not just the community you're working for.
Little context here. The North Central Texas Council of Governments, DFW, is the the fourth, possibly the third largest metro in the country. And I believe it was 5 or 6, maybe 7 years ago when it was identified that this region did not have a comprehensive economic development strategy, which was a major miss for our region. And luckily, COG identified that. But for Marty to take the mantle, it really helped organize and galvanize the entire region, given his contacts, given his experience, his relationship with Lucille and Pritt. It really made the creation of the SEDS very smooth and effective. But for the SEDS and Marty's leadership, we would not have received a very sizable grant through the EDA. So we're most appreciative of not only Marty's effort, but everyone's effort related to this organization. I can't leave any note here without saying that now that Marty is disengaging himself from this, it gives us license to blame him going forward for anything that goes wrong. Gus can communicate that to Marty, but we all have a coupon in our computer now to, if we goof, we can always blame him. Thanks, Marty.
Great, Paul. God bless you.
I'll keep you informed, Marty. Don't worry.
Gus, that should probably also include all the things we're going to volunteer him to do now, since
That's
he's
right. That's right. That's right.
Hey, thanks everyone. You're so kind. I don't want to take away from your business. You'll be very gracious with your comments. And as I've stressed, I want you to keep plugging. You're doing a great job. It's the team. Teamwork makes the dream work. We're all working together. So I applaud you.
Marty, thank you again. Definitely appreciate everything that you've done to help our community continue to thrive and grow. And I know that's only going to continue. And I'm looking forward to having you across the street here in Arlington. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. God bless you.
Appreciate it. All right, back into business. We need to do an approval of our February 5th board meeting minutes. Are there any edits that anyone has or any updates to them? If not, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to approve.
All right, Greg, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, just throw up a hand gesture, I guess, on online. Is that? And then give everyone a minute, and then anyone opposed? Okay, the minutes have passed as written, and I appreciate everyone's support on that. Next on our business is board officer nominations and vote. Since Marty's left, I've stepped into the chair position, and Cassandra has moved into the vice chair position, which leaves the secretary position open. And we would like to open it up for anyone to either volunteer for it, or if you know someone who may be interested in it, so that we can try to get that filled today if possible.
Volunteer or be voluntold?
Yeah, either way, we're shameless when it comes to getting these positions filled. So
If nobody jumps out, I'd be happy to do it.
okay.
However, if somebody else is really married to the idea, I will take no offense.
Well, what exactly is the role?
Cassandra, would you mind sharing a little bit about the role you
So,
just
yeah, basically, as far as the board meetings themselves, I am here to and sign off on the minutes. That's pretty much the extent of the paperwork. Review those ahead of time, etc. And then, as one of the executive board members, I do try to make a point to be present in the meetings and the other presentations that Pritt lines up for the board and for the area, if at all possible. Went to Craig's ribbon cutting and everything that he had when he got the grant and everything. So just trying to have a good active role and have a presence there and represent the board as a whole. That's pretty much the extent of it. We do occasionally get phone calls from Pritt looking for guidance, etc., on recommendations for speakers and different events and different presentations that she brings forward. So I feel like it's an important role, but at the same time, it doesn't take a huge amount of time, and it gives you an opportunity to get her in and around the DFW area when you're having those other meetings and stuff. So, absolutely.
I'm also happy to do it, but I'm probably on the outskirts of the entire district. So Jim, if you were a little bit closer, that might be better. So either way.
And if I may, but just add, we always invite board leadership to attend any ribbon cuttings that we're invited to, but that's kind of rare, and that's really honestly up to your choice. As Cassandra said, honestly, it's just providing some leadership on the board, signing off on the meeting minutes, and certainly if there are things that the district wants to do, we'll talk to leadership first before we present it to the board. So because this board serves pretty much like a committee, it is pretty minimal as far as the lift on the work. So, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you have too. Thanks, Cassandra.
So Jim and Jeff, is there anyone else who has an interest?
And Jim spoke up first, so he certainly has every bit of you go ahead if you'd like to. I just seriously, I just threw it in case you're just trying to make the meeting move forward or whatever, but if you'd like to do it, go ahead.
Fred, I'll look to you. What do we need to do to formalize?
Yeah, honestly, Jim and Jeff, this is up to you. If one of you is interested in serving, then the board can vote.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to serve, but again,
It's all you. Go ahead. Let's make it easy.
Okay, Jeff, thank you, and Jim, thank you also. And without any objection, Jim will take over the role of secretary.
Yes.
And right, of course, I'm getting a call right in the middle of all of this, but my apologies.
So do we need a nominate? I mean, do we need a motion to? So
Yes.
I move to nominate or to vote for Jim.
And I'll
Jim,
second.
say your name. Weimeyer for board secretary.
Weemeyer.
Weemeyer.
But I was going to let you torture your way through it. Just
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll second that.
Okay, and Jeff second. All those in favor of Jeff Weemeyer assuming the secretary role, please signify with the hand up. Okay. Anyone opposed?
I'm taking notes.
Now you find out who you should.
I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't know how to get rid of it now. I need to, there we go.
Okay, and Jim, welcome. It's official now. I guess you volunteered for it, so it's all on you, but welcome.
Congratulations,
welcome
Jim.
and appreciate your service.
Sure, look forward to it.
Excellent. Now we'll move into the fun part. We've got our presentation this morning, and we will have a copy of the presentation that will be shared as well as the recording. After the presentation, Phedra will take any questions, but if you go ahead and enter them into the chat, we'll be able to get them ready. And without further ado, I will turn the meeting over and look forward to the presentation this morning.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Fred. Give us just a minute. I'm going to go on mute and we're going to get the presentation up. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Can everyone see the title slide, which is labeled Accelerator Session Model?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Phedra Redifer, Executive Director of Workforce Solutions for North Central Texas. And I would like to thank Prit for letting me have the opportunity to share with all of you our Accelerator Session model. We actually think it is a very successful model that we introduced last year, and we are actually getting ready to go out with our Accelerator Session 2.0 this year. So a very timely opportunity for us to share what we've been up to with North Central Texas. So for just perspective, and if I can see that it's not actually moving forward, maybe we can go that way. Okay, so for those of you who are on the call and you may be familiar or not familiar, Workforce Solutions for North Central Texas is actually one of 28 workforce development boards throughout the state. So we refer to ourselves as the donut. So we actually are the ring around the Dallas and Tarrant County boards. So they have their own individual one. However, we continue to work together in very collaborative ways, much like everyone who is on this call, is that truly this is a regional effort to lift all of our counties up, and that includes the 16 counties. And quite frankly, it's a lot of fun. We have so many partners scattered throughout the entire region that truly it is a great opportunity for us to really figure out where can we have the most amount of impact. And when we do that is truly when we expand our ecosystem partnership. So real quick, I wanted to share just some really impressive stats, if you will, in the work that our board staff is doing, and of course the contracted staff that we have in our 12 workforce centers throughout the 14 counties. So last year alone, we actually assisted more than 100,000 career seekers who were looking to find their first job, re-entering the workforce, reskilling or upskilling for a better career, or helping veterans transition from military service to civilian employment. We also partnered with more than 10,000 employers to recruit the talent that they need, all while in an effort of earning around $9,600 per employee as far as tax credit earnings. We also provided labor market and economic data to our employers so that they could make longer-term business decisions based on data. Everything that we're doing now is really centered around data. What does the data tell us? We find that it's extremely important, particularly now moving forward, to those employers who we work with. And of course, you all hear so much in the news regarding workforce development is the challenges related to childcare. We in the state of Texas actually have childcare within each of the board areas. So we actually deliver childcare services to our customers in our 14 counties. Last year alone, we served over 7,000 children in childcare, quality childcare, if you will, so that parents could go back to work. These are workforce adjacent issues, childcare, transportation, housing, and food securities. And we need to make sure that we're looking at the whole picture that could include barriers for people gaining very successful employment. I'd also like to share that our team here at the board staff level, we again work with many education, workforce, and community partners. And last year alone, we brought in over $22 million in grant funding for worker training and CTE programs. So it's quite an impressive list of stats, if you will. We are working hard day in and day out to ensure that the resources that we have are infused out into all the counties so that the communities could benefit from all the work that we do. So as I shared, we call these the Accelerator Sessions, and really these are very interactive and engaging in-person conversations with workforce, our chief elected officials, community leaders, economic development corporations, and education institutions in each of our counties. We are as inclusive as we possibly can be. And truly the main goal for this model is to really quicken the pace of how we identify and address workforce and economic development opportunities throughout our counties. And you can imagine we're very diverse, from extreme urban up top, Denton and Collin counties, to extreme rural and everything in between. So it's not a one size fits all. And quite frankly, I think that would be the wrong approach. We have our umbrella approach to all things that we do in workforce, but then we start drilling down into the individualities of the communities and the counties. And that's really where the sweet spot is in terms of our work and the success that we have with our partners. So these accelerator sessions really bring together partners within each of those counties. Sometimes we've actually clustered our counties, and we really actually took the model through what PRIT had done with the economic development plan, if you will, and really clustered some of the counties so that we saw similarities. So let's talk to them in groups, in clusters, so we can actually maximize what we're bringing in terms of information, as well as maximizing the output opportunities to continue to infuse workforce development initiatives and resources into those counties. So I'll get more into the accelerator sessions here in this next slide. So you may wonder, well, why do we bring together so many people in one meeting? Well, quite frankly, we work with so many partners that we actually found out that this is a team sport in workforce development, and we can't be doing our work in isolation of one another. And I think you all recognize that best, that we can do more work collaboratively and really maximize those impacts throughout the entire region when we really look wide and we look far out. And when we do this, we really start to bring these stakeholders together and those who are looking for longer term solutions in terms of how we can continue to have a robust workforce development pipeline here in our region. Of course, really centered at all of what we do are our chief elected officials. These are key individuals as they are truly the leaders of our workforce development board. Our chief elected officials actually appoint or nominate, if you will, our workforce development board members, and then they get appointed by the Texas Workforce Commission. So it is extremely important that we have these deep-seated relationships with our chief elected officials, because they are truly picking the best of the best to be on our workforce development board. And these individuals truly represent the fabric of the 14 counties that we represent. So of course, it's really important as well, when we come out, we do not want to waste anybody's time. So we have an awesome team that I get to work with each and every day, and we build robust packages of information, so much information that we are bringing county level, labor market and economic data. Maybe we've actually reached out to some of you to get some of your information or local wisdom. And then what we do is we layer in trending information in workforce development. We look at the trends in terms of economic impact. And then we actually layer in all the types of resources that we've brought and invested in each of those counties. And when you pull this all together in these community impact reports, it is extremely impressive to see that workforce development has to be connected to everything in each of our counties, because we have these resources that could continue to augment the work that you all are doing, the partners that are also working in this space, and how we can really squeeze as much money out of these programs and services that we get to manage. And of course, best laid plans. So we actually did our mini accelerator session up in Denton County with Judge Eads, and we didn't really know how it was going to be received. We thought, you know what, we've got to rip the Band-Aid. We're going to go up there. And of course, we love Judge Eads. And so he was fantastic. In fact, we scheduled an hour. We were there for 2 hours. We kept talking and really getting into some pretty significant community/county challenges that they're having. And then we actually decided, well, let's do something about it. So one of the ones that I'd like to share is the recruitment and retention symposium all around law enforcement. So when we met with Judge Eads, we actually talked at length of, we shared all this great information, all the investments that we're making, the partnerships that we have. And of course, then we open it up. Judge Eads, tell us what it is that you have some pain points. And let's see where we can actually get in and do that work in partnership with you in hopes of helping making a difference in Denton County. There were 3 particular things that he mentioned to us. He needs more personnel in law enforcement. He wants to better figure out how we can help those who are in the foster care system before they age out. And he wanted to dive further into potentially having Denton County offer childcare to its employees. So first and foremost, we had to prioritize, okay, we heard what he said, and then we actually took our accelerator session on the road, as I had shared, and we actually heard through each of those accelerator sessions the same pain points. And we thought, aha, we're actually onto something. So I'll share really quick what we did with the law enforcement program in just a little bit. But what I'd like to share is that when we brought together these stakeholders in the next accelerator session, because we thought, gosh, if we struck gold with Judge Eads, imagine what the next one is going to be like. And so one of the next accelerator sessions that we had is that we brought together, again, a host of county partners. And what was very interesting is it wasn't a one-way transaction of information. It was actually those who we brought together having conversations with each other. And so we actually found another issue that surfaced, and that was regarding building a talent pipeline that was actually highlighting the difficulty of students when they're trying to transfer credits from a high school CTE program to a college or transfer credits between colleges. And of course, sometimes in some situations, most credits are not accepted, which causes frustrations for the students. They're wanting to continue their education in order to get on their career pathway. And they were finding nothing but some roadblocks. And it was a beautiful thing to see that we had our education partners talking to each other saying, hey, well, why is that happening? Well, can't we fix that? And so as a result of that, we've actually seen some phenomenal development happening in the transferring of credits so that we, again, can make sure that there aren't any barriers to students accessing education to get on their career pathways and job seekers trying to switch from one job to another. So it was pretty great. We kind of considered this a little bit of off-roading, if you will, but it sure was fun because we are convene partners. We're here to make sure that everybody is aware of what's happening and that we're really addressing the challenges and issues in order for us to regionally find those solutions. So we continued going on our roadshow, and it was actually pretty phenomenal in terms of what we learned. And this is why we're going back out here in the next few months with our Accelerator Session 2.0 series. So as I mentioned, Judge Eads really tipped us off in terms of law enforcement recruitment and retention challenges. Of course, this is going on in our own country, but when you localize and regionalize these issues, it really packs a punch. And so what we did is we reached out to our chief elected officials. And again, we heard this through all of our accelerator sessions. But what we did is we went out to Judge Danny Chambers, Judge Chris Hill, and Judge Todd Little. So these three key CEOs said, Phedra, we need help. Can you help bring together law enforcement leaders from throughout the region, so the 16 counties, and let's see what we can do. And of course, we said yes. We definitely feel that this is an opportunity for us to work in collaboration as well as to address short to long-term solutions and strategies so that we can shore up this dilemma, which to the chief elected officials who shared with us, it is a community public safety issue. And of course, this is one of those hot buttons that they have. They want to make sure that they're representing their counties and their communities. They want to make sure that they're safe. So we stepped in, and what was so great about it is that we actually gathered so many people from throughout the region. We had many chief elected officials with us. We had police chiefs. We had sheriff's office representatives here. We even had HR representatives from the various municipalities because there was such a vested interest in trying to crack this nut. So there were three things that actually washed out from the symposium that everybody collectively agreed were three priorities that they wanted to focus on as we work forward and continue to work on addressing the law enforcement challenges. So the TECL certification. So this group that I just mentioned that came together for the convening of the symposium, they are actually going to work on setting up a pilot program with TECL, which is the State Association for Law Enforcement certification, that would work to streamline the certification process and remove barriers for one or more of the TECL certification programs. And of course, this is not to reduce the requirements or set a lower bar for our law enforcement personnel, but more so just to try to streamline the process so that it is not so cumbersome nor delaying those who are actually interested in joining law enforcement. The next item that they prioritize is increasing the applicant pool. So we heard a lot of those who are representing the different cities and counties working together to actively target candidate pools together so that they're not working and trying to compete against one another. It does no good for Somerville and Hood County to compete. they're stealing from each other. That's not getting them anywhere. So now we're starting to see these conversations happening and actually looking at more cluster-oriented approaches to hiring law enforcement personnel. Another great item that came out of that conversation is the fact that they are all talking about hiring a regional applicant coordinator. So again, we can look at some of the smaller counties and their enforcement organizations. They might not have all the resources or a very robust hiring department. So how can they all leverage the resources that they have and come together to support the hiring of more from a more regional approach in order to affect the change, which is to increase the number and retention of law enforcement personnel. I'm happy to share that our CEOs are actively engaged. In fact, we have another update coming out pretty quickly in terms of the leads who are working in their various aspects with those 3 priority areas that I just mentioned. And again, really cannot stress enough how important it is that if we didn't tackle this from a regional perspective, they'd be working in isolation with one another, from one another, and again, not seeing the types of changes that they hope to see. And so, of course, I'd like to share really quick about the Accelerator Sessions. You see on the screen, we actually had 6 sessions that covered 14 counties. We had about 2 hours each in each of them. We had more than 100 chief elected officials, representatives from our economic development corporations, our chambers, our colleges, even our education service centers participate in these Accelerator Sessions. I'd like to share, in addition to this, is that we really feel that this helped spur some conversations, and you'll see on the second bullet that we, again, really got into some nooks and crannies of areas of opportunity that hadn't really been discussed and taking it that next step further. So one of the outcomes I would like to share is really Tarleton State, Weatherford College, Hill College, and Education Service Center Region 11. They have completed the technical dual credit alignment for welding, auto tech, and cosmetology programs. So they're really working in earnest to make sure that they can get the students in these programs and that they're all talking to one another in terms of getting these students then the certifications that they need in order to get on those career pathways. And again, we're seeing our education partners working together, all in the best interest of getting their students the skills that they need in order to get the necessary licenses and credentials to be placed into employment. That's just some of the outcomes that we had. Another great one, and I'm not sure how close you all are to this one, but you might be familiar with Senate Bill 22. This is specifically geared for rural law enforcement grant program opportunity. I attended a Leadership North Texas class, and we had actually had a presentation by the State Comptroller's Office, and he had shared on the screen where you can go and look at all the grants available in the state. And there was one that particularly stood out, and it's Senate Bill 22. And again, as I mentioned, this is a rural law enforcement grant program, and it is only counties that are eligible are for those that are actually 300 people or 300,000 people or less. And we looked at this and thought, oh my gosh, this is a huge opportunity for the 12 of our 14 counties based on the population requirements. So what we did is we formed a partnership with the State Comptroller's Office. We produced 2 webinars, and we really shared a lot of information out to our chief elected officials, who in turn shared this information out to their prosecutors' offices, their sheriff's offices, to their local police offices and so forth. And we had every county actually apply, again, the 12 that were eligible out of the 14 actually apply for the grant funding. I will share that the grant funding that was available was up to $500,000 for each sheriff's office that applied, as well as $275,000 for the prosecutor's offices. Again, super excited. All 12 of our 14 counties participated. We actually had more than $4.3 million come in for the prosecutor's offices and more than $5.4 million come in for the sheriff's offices, for a total of just under $10 million that we help bring in within 90 days of the seminars, or excuse me, the webinars, to when the grant applications closed to being awarded. And I will share with all of you, I actually just saw an advertisement it was in Hood County. I actually have an email into Judge Massengill. And in it, it actually showed a $4,000 boost in salary pay that is grant funded. And if I'm not standing on these 2 feet right now, I would reckon that that is a direct result of us helping them bring in those grant funds. So when you look at workforce development, this is truly economic development at its core. We have economic impact. We are generating a future talented pipeline, if you will. And this is all in an effort to ensure that we are creating regional economic prosperity. So I'm very, very excited about that. So as I shared, we're getting ready to launch into our next Accelerator Session 2.0. These take a lot of time to, number one, gather all the information because we're really curating all that we've done since the last Accelerator Sessions. Every unit within our Workforce Development Board department has a touch into each of our counties. So we pull all this data together. We also, first and foremost, of course, need to make sure that the CEO is available, and then we start convening all the rest of the stakeholders. But there's a lot of logistical coordination, lots of background information that goes into building these robust packets of information, and then, of course, actually going out into the county. So I'm really excited that our team is wholeheartedly behind this. We didn't know the type of success that we would reach when we first, did our mini one up there with Judge Eads, but we're definitely on to something, and we're so excited to be able to deliver results back to our chief elected officials as well as our partners. I would share too that, as I mentioned, workforce development fits hand in glove with economic development. I recently received a call from Texas Workforce Commission Chairman Brian Daniel. He was recently a featured guest at our awards luncheon, and he had called and he said, "Hey, Phedra, can you do me a favor?" And of course, the answer is yes. And I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" And he said, "I really want to make sure that economic development corporations truly understand the value and merit of being tied to and working with each of the workforce development boards within the state of Texas." And I said, we're actually launching an initiative with our Northern Economic Development Corporation representatives for us to go out to them and say, how do you want to plug into the resources, programs, and services that our board staff has to offer? How do you want us to play in that sandbox? What additional value can we bring with you all? And let's work more collaboratively to workshop what our future innovative partnership will look like. So I'm very excited about that. Chairman Daniel asked that we actually produce 2 in our region. So we're going to start first in our northern counties. Then we're going to bring it down into our southern counties. And the reason being is that we really feel that we do have a lot of robust resources up in our northern counties just by the sheer demographics and size of those counties, particularly Denton and Collin. However, we want to make sure that we're lifting all 14 of these counties. It's not just looking at one area of our coverage and just saying, well, it's okay down there. High tides lift all boats. We have something for everybody. And if we can help leverage resources and make sure everybody can take advantage of what we're setting up, we think that this is in everybody's best interest. So we're going to be producing 2 of these, and we'll let you all know when they happen. We'll share the information with PRIT, of course, but we're going to start in our northern counties. We're going to do the same one in our southern counties. Chairman Daniel will be with us. We're going to build out a pretty robust format, if you will, and some breakout discussions. And then he wants to scale it and take it on the road throughout the state of Texas. So we consider that a huge compliment that he wants to pilot this work with us here first at the North Central Texas Workforce Development Board. And you all will very much be invited to participate, if not potentially serve on a panel, and really help us show the best of what we have to offer through workforce development and our partnerships with economic development corporations, as well as our chambers of commerce. And again, all of this really stemmed a lot from the work that we do each and every day, as well as what we stumbled upon with the success of the Accelerator Session model. So that's it in a nutshell. I think it's pretty exciting for us. We didn't know what we didn't know at that point in time, but there's an appetite for this, and it really makes sure that we are boots on the ground with our counties, with our communities, understanding what those pain points are as far as it relates to workforce development, and also giving us an opportunity to convene additional partners that might not have thought about workforce development the way that they should, and could. And then again, how can we leverage all the federal resources and programs and access to funds to infuse them into the county? So as you see on this last slide, really, we continue to evolve. I think we all are. That's what's being pushed on, and Accelerator Sessions really help us accelerate the pace by which we're providing solutions out to our counties. One other item, as I shared, related to the foster care and foster youth. We are starting to work in this space as well. This is our future workforce. And just because you age out does not mean that there's not a safety net somewhere to help skill you up, educate you, train you, and get you on a career pathway. So this will be the next big effort, if you will, an initiative that we continue to bring forward from the first Accelerator Sessions. And we're excited to figure out and learn a little bit more in the next Accelerator Sessions that we're getting ready to launch. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any comments, I am available. And certainly if we don't have enough time today, you can always reach out to me. My information is on the screen. And I think, Jim, we have a question from you.
Jim, you're muted still. There you go.
You just gotta be a little smarter than the laptop. Unfortunately, I often fall down in that category. More of a statement than a question. The Fostering Youth Symposium. Very excited about that. I think it's going in the right direction. The number one comment I get from our local industry is how can we better interface with the ISD and talk to these kids at a younger age so we can start planting the seed. So I see that as a huge area of opportunity. And I would also put a plug in when you do decide to move south, we would be more than happy to host that, or we'd be happy to partner with Waxahachie or somebody else south. But that's certainly a symposium we would be very excited to be a part of.
Thank you very much, Jim. I really appreciate that. And I'll share really quick why youth is so important. And I know that you all understand. We are also members of the United States Conference of Mayors, and I'm a board of trustee on the Workforce Development Council, as well as the co-chair of the Youth and Young Adult Workforce Committee. So we are really looking at our emerging workforce. You know, we don't want to say out of school youth or opportunity youth. This is our emerging workforce, and it can range and span from 18 to 24 years old. And so this is a huge pocket of individuals who are ripe for workforce development. As long as we can get them in the system, we can train them, we can educate them, we can get them a certification, licensing, you name it, and we can get them on a longer term career pathway. So I appreciate that you are also seeing that advantage, and I will take you up likely on your offer to potentially host our site.
And quite honestly, once they're 18, it's almost too late. The word needs to start getting out there when they're in the 8th grade, 14, 15, to just plant the seed.
That's exactly right. And
So
I'll share.
that's very exciting.
Yeah, we work very, very closely. In fact, I think I saw Lisa on this call, Lisa Harrison with Education Service Center 11. We also work very closely with ESC 10. And so we are constantly working in partnership with them. And how do we better educate the educators on all that we have to offer while they're in school? And it doesn't start anymore back from when we were all in school. When you were a junior or senior, we're into the 8th grade. We're looking now to get into the 7th grade because that's where it all starts.
Yep.
We are looking also to fund workforce development career counselors in schools. Unfortunately, the funding that we were looking to apply towards this effort is likely going away in October. So we are trying to figure out where we can find some additional or alternative funds. We definitely feel that career counselors in schools have their set requirements and work that they have to do to satisfy the ISDs. And we bring workforce specific information. And we do believe that these workforce counselors could be of significant benefit to the students. So we really want to try to continue to get into those spaces. So thank you very much for your support.
Pamela, did you have a question?
Sure. I certainly enjoyed learning what you're doing and our work, Mundo and Associates, with the city of Lavon and the community ISD. We've done a lot of work with our career training and education for the technical end, and appreciate the help of the workforce development. I think we have 5 of our teachers that will be working with your mentorship program this summer, so we're very excited about that. One of the things that we see is a chronic and critical need for more daycare centers, more daycare workers, and for us to attract the industries and to attract the workforce that we need for our retailers, the daycares, both from the business standpoint and from the trained workers, is becoming extremely critical, both for children and for the elderly and the seniors. So I'd like to see some emphasis put on that to meet our workforce need. Our women who are staying home and cannot work and join the workforce are there because they are the caretakers for the seniors and their family, or for the children who are not in school during certain days of the week, or summer breaks and what have you.
And Pamela, you are spot on, and I'll make mention to this group on the call. So we were awarded, again, we have just phenomenal staff. We were awarded a $200,000 grant for this year, and it's called the Teacher Externship Program. This is where we actually host teachers at employers' locations for about 5 days within the summer. They actually receive $1,000 stipend. There is no cost to the employer. We actually have the grant to offset all of the costs. And as a result of that, the teachers actually get to understand better what those types of skill sets and or soft skills the students need. They are required to develop a lesson plan and bring it back into their classroom. So this is one way, again, that we're accelerating the pace by which teachers and students understand that if I have this chosen career pathway, this is what I can expect from day one. And so this is, again, paring down that gap so that educators are really in step with employers, and employers have a much better understanding of what those educator challenges are now in the classroom. And they're pretty significant. From, we've got some behavioral issues as well, but we've got a lot of progressive and modernized equipment and different ways of working out in the field. And educators really need to understand what the employers are looking for. So again, we are so excited. I think we have about 200 teachers who are going to be hosted by employers throughout our 14 counties. Tarrant County is also helping us make sure that we have employers to take these teachers. And again, a stipend of $1,000, and it's a simple 5-day investment to make sure then that they can bring these valuable lessons and now a day skill set and information back to the students. The other thing that I wanted to share really quickly, Pamela, and Dallas and Tarrant are in the same boat with regards to childcare and quality childcare. So all of our childcare centers that want to take these scholarship children, so again, this is receiving support for families to access a reduction in childcare. They have to be Texas Rising Star certified childcare providers. The state actually is now requiring this, which is great, because what this is actually doing is elevating the quality of the type of care that these children are getting in these early learning provider settings, so that they are kindergarten ready, that these children are more on a level playing field than what we continue to see, which is pretty disparate. And then you start to see the gaps start to happen and children being left behind as early as kindergarten. So I'm really excited because the Texas Workforce Commission and all the work that 28 workforce development boards are doing, investing in quality childcare, as well as making sure that those early learning provider centers in all of our counties have the ability to be part of the Texas Rising Star program, so that we can make sure that we're providing quality childcare out there. We're also identifying where we have childcare deserts. To your point, Pamela, we need to make sure that those who want to go back to work have access to quality childcare programs. And so by nature of the childcare providing companies that we work with, we're better identifying where we have gaps. where we can set up partnerships, as well as working with employers to help discover if they want to set up a licensed childcare center. I'll share with you all really quickly, Carlton Tidwell, he's actually the president of the the Terrell Economic Development Corporation. He also is our chair of the Oversight and Accountability Committee of the Workforce Development Board that we run. And he said, hey, Phedra, I'm bringing about 30 employers and industry to a meeting. All they want to talk about is childcare. They want to come, they want to keep their businesses here, but they need to understand more about providing childcare incentives and benefits to their employees. So we actually got the list of those 30 participant companies that are coming in June, and we did a survey. We want to get more information, and we're bringing our heavy hitters out there, and we're going to talk with them and share with them all the benefits, incentives, and services that we bring from a workforce development board that's at their fingertips, so that they can retain and recruit the workforce that they need. All in what you said, Pamela, spot on.
Phedra, and we have, I think, 3 more questions that I can see. Lancine, did you have a question? I saw your hand up a few minutes ago.
That's okay. It's the workforce. The youth fosters. That's a kind of on track for 2024. Is it more like a 2025 initiative?
So I'm sorry, Lancine, it was spotty when you were speaking. Could you repeat your question, please?
The symposium, the Foster Youth Symposium, with as much as you all have, on your plate right now, is that something you're looking at in 2024? Or is that more of a 2025 potential symposium date?
So we are starting to ramp up now, but likely it'll be in next year's work plan. However, we are connecting to the foster program coalitions that already exist and those groups. So we're already doing and kind of infiltrating, if you will, to make sure we understand who the partners are, making sure that we're at the table and that they understand what it is that we can bring to bear as we all work collectively on these. We won't do anything. What we don't like to do is do anything in a standalone setup. We like to really find out where the coalitions, the councils, the associations, where do those already exist? And let's make sure that we're there at the table so that we can blend and merge and augment where there might be some gaps and introduce new things in innovative ways that we can bring forward from a workforce development perspective. But certainly if you want to continue to reach out to me, and if we don't know some things, please let me know, because we would like to be plugged in a much greater capacity.
Next, Nika, and then Jeff.
Thank you, and thank you for a great presentation. I just caught my attention about what you just mentioned about foster care children. I'm also on the board of CASA of Denton County. I don't know if you're familiar with CASA. I'm sure you are. So they would be a very good resource, and also because these children that age out of the foster care system truly are left, I hate to use the word perish, because they really have no one to turn to once they age out of the system. And very few of them end up in college. Very few of them don't know what to do after they age out. So this would be an awesome program. And if you, some of the CASAs could come into the program in terms of providing some feedback when you are going to provide some of these advantages, that would be awesome. I'd love to talk with you a little more about how we can engage them, actually.
Perfect. And I appreciate that. We actually have Mindy Woolley also from CASA down in Stephenville. She sits on our board, so she's helping us as well. But quite frankly, the more the merrier, right? Because we all have to be invested in order to realize the outcomes that we would like to. And again, you really said it very, very well, is these young people, they get left behind. And once they age out, and if they don't have a place to go, if they don't have the supports, we know likely the path that they'll be on, and it won't be good at all. So we have to be there while they're in the system before they exit out of the system, much like students in high school before they're out of high school. Our chances of truly impacting the outcomes that we all hope to see for their success, it really begins where they are already within those organizations before they age out. So I will definitely be reaching out as we move forward in this space, and would love to be able to work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, you had a question too?
Yeah, I just wanted to, it's really a statement for the rest of the board and the rest of those on the call. I wanted to first of all thank Phedra and her team. We've done some projects with her, and not only are we doing the teacher externship coming up, but we did a 9-month program this year with a great team. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of it. But I did want to make one quick comment that, you know, getting people into the workforce is not just about connecting. That is a very important part to get the kids, I call them all kids, whether they're adults or whatever, but the potential workers and the employers together. That's a great connection. That's something that's important. But I think the bigger job that we all have, if you've not already participated and you still have an opportunity to jump in and get some programs going, I want to encourage you to all think about this component. Our job is to get them excited about working. It's not just connecting a job. They can go in a lot of places and find where somebody's hiring, but get them excited in this generation, excited about being in the workforce and having a little jingle in their pocket. This is our generation has done a horrible job, and our schools have done a horrible job of connecting those because we're so mandated on what we have to teach. And as parents, we want our kids to have better than we did, so we don't have them do as much and get excited about the workforce. But then at 18 or whatever time, we push them out and say, go work, and they have no excitement about it. So we need to get them excited about being in the workforce and being a contributor and doing that. The other thing is, I would say this, we're talking about the students a lot, and we're talking about the teachers some, Phedra mentioned. The other component, that's the third leg of the stool, is the parents and or caregivers, getting them excited as well, because they would sometimes not have as much excitement because they already have their path lined out for their child. So I just want to encourage everyone, get that third leg involved, but also get all the kids excited about wanting to be a productive member of the workforce. And that starts whenever. You know where it is better than I would. But I think when you get that component is going to change the next generation of workforce.
Well said, Jeff. Well said. So, any other questions for me?
Fred, there's one, and I'll just read it from one of the attendees. Are other workforce solutions working with you on the foster youth? And foster youth was capitalized, so I'm assuming that's an organization.
So we're just now stabbing into this, if you will, and trust me, we'll be reaching out with the Dallas and Tarrant board, workforce development boards. Again, we work very collaboratively together. We don't see us going, let's just do this and we'll share later. It's more about, hey, we've got this great idea, because we keep hearing it's a challenge, and it is, as we all know. Let's go ahead and start working on it together. So we're just now stabbing into that space, but certainly if anyone has any direct contacts and or ways that you can connect me to others out in the community who are already doing this work, please send them our way. It certainly will make our lives a lot easier, and we can get there faster. But I know we've got Dallas on this call. We've also got the Tarrant board on this call. And so again, we're just going to be plugging into what currently exists, and we're going to be holding hands with all of our partners in order to do that.
Thank you, Phedra. First, again, welcome to the board, but thank you for a great presentation. I think everyone took a lot out of it. Questions were excellent, but I do have one other thing to ask for the Accelerator Sessions that are happening this summer. Do you have dates and counties yet, or is that still evolving?
So as I had shared earlier, it's a challenge, if you can imagine, to pin down a chief elected official's calendar. And then once we get that done, then we start inviting everybody else. So at this point in time, I believe we have the next 2 set up. I can share that out through PRIT so that you all know. But as we start landing the dates, then that's when we start gravitating to, ooh, we've got one. Okay, now we can keep moving forward, because the scheduling is so difficult. But we will share the information with PRIT that can be shared out with the team. And we invite all of you to participate. And quite frankly, if you have someone who you're working with that is not familiar with workforce development but should be, we invite you to bring those individuals along so that we can really have some great convening and discussions and developing outcomes for the counties that matter most with regards to workforce.
Excellent. Great.
Right. Yeah, I think Mickey Hillock is on the call. Mickey, can you unmute and speak? I know you serve on Phedra's board and our board. And if you can't, you can certainly post a question in the chat and I can read that out.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, I just wanted to thank Phedra for coming and doing such a fantastic job making that presentation today. As a board member, I don't know, working on 16 years, I guess. As we change directors, you're always worried about who that next person is going to step in and how are they going to carry you forward. And I think everyone can see what a great job Phedra is doing, bringing collaborative information and bringing everybody together. And I just want to praise her for the job she's doing. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that, Mickey, and he's an amazing board member. And I'll share another thing of how we work together. So we have a workforce center at Weatherford College, and really co-locating is the way to go moving in the future. The standalone bricks and mortar doesn't really work everywhere, but when we find these partnerships and we can co-locate our contracted staff delivering workforce and childcare services out in our counties, that's really where we want to be. So Mickey has been absolutely instrumental and our biggest champion to work with Dr. Peters at Navarro College. And we're actually working to have a workforce center also now on Navarro College campus. So that was attributable to Mickey being out there, you know, breaking down some barriers for us, connecting us to individuals in his county that can help us do these types of things. And again, we just have a phenomenal membership of our board members, and this is what really is making great things happen, along with the team that I have the fortune of working with. So your words were very kind, Mickey. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again for an incredible presentation and great information. I'd like to go ahead and ask if there is any new business from any of the other members. Okay, then I'll turn it over to Prit for some updates.
Sure, thanks so much. Again, Phedra, thank you so much. Our partnership with the Economic Development District and all the workforce boards in this region is so vital, and I appreciate all the information you provided. I just have a few quick updates. We're going to be hosting a webinar on July 22nd this summer. Our presentation will be from Michelle Corson. She is from On the Road Lending, and On the Road Lending was awarded an EDA grant in 2021, and they're doing some really amazing work. The grant actually funded a project to renovate a automotive technology workforce training facility, and that training facility is providing workers access to training and apprenticeships that lead to high-paying jobs working on smart cars, and a lot of those skills are transferable. So we're going to host a webinar that's sort of a spotlight on an EDA awarded grant that I think many of you will be interested in the work that they're doing. And I think there's certainly some partnership opportunities there too. So that's coming up this summer. A quick update on the Texoma Semiconductor Tech Hub. They did submit all of their phase 2 implementation grants on February 29th. Since that time, they've continued working with EDA. And they've met with Senator Ted Cruz to brief him on their work. We expect to hear any updates on the grant award sometime this summer, and that's all we know right now. I do ask that you follow them on LinkedIn to kind of stay updated on their work, and that's all I have today.
Thank you, Fred. Just a reminder that our next meeting is going to be Monday, August 5th, 2024 at 10 a.m. And with that, if there's, did someone have something?
I just put in the chat the link to the Tech Hub LinkedIn page.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it looks like we may get a few minutes back this morning. Thank you all for your time. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And then a second.
Second.
And all of those in favor can probably just hit leave. No, I'm just kidding. But just thank you again for all of your time this morning and work on the board. And we'll see you all in August, if not before, for some of the other exciting things that are happening throughout the district. Have a great week. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good to see everybody.